Let's go through. We are going to try to figure out the best way to attack dynasty startups after the NFL draft, because of course the running back landscape has changed just slightly, but more importantly, these wide receivers are flying up / flying down dependent on the team that they're at. We're going to get to see where maybe someone like Rashad Bateman goes in this draft. But of course, before we dive into this, before we get this set up, go down there, drop a like on this video for me, subscribe to the channel if you play Dynasty Fantasy Football, even though I'm assuming everybody watching this plays Dynasty, is already subscribed, and I believe we should be good to go to just send this link out right now. So we're going to send that over there on locals, and I'm assuming it will get filled in about 5 seconds. Let me pull up the chat real quick to give a big thank you to everybody who came out right away to this live stream. Looks like I got to turn that setting on to just get the chat on here, but should be good. We'll pivot this over. We are going to be drafting from the 103. So at the 103, I can assume that we are most likely going to be taking Justin Herbert. I mean, at this point of the offseason, it's pretty much standard to go Justin Herbert with this selection. And yeah, it looks like people are just now trickling in here. I guess that notification went out on locals. Let me pull up this chat room. Okay, we got a bunch of people out here. Of course, thank you so much. Nathan, Michael, Jacob, Gnarl Malone, Eric, Anthony, Spack, Gnarl, Jordan, Eric. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So let me send a poll, and it looks like we are filled. So let's just get this going. Should be a very boring start to the draft. Allen, Mahomes, Herbert. Now, I've seen some people taking Patrick Mahomes over Justin Herbert, which in my opinion is just horrendous. I don't think you could even consider it, if we're going to be completely honest, based on the larger sample that we have with Mahomes compared to a player like Justin Herbert. But BGS on the clock here at the 101. Looks like they just logged out. I swear to God, if you joined this draft and you auto with the 101, we are going to have some issues here. We will have issues. Greg says, bang, I asked and I have received. Yeah, we had a ton of requests yesterday to get this dynasty startup underway. Yesterday we did an underdog draft, and we've been, oh my God, Herbert at the 101. I was talking about Herbert being a bad selection over Patrick Mahomes. To go over both Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen, I feel like that picks all risk. I'm going to happily take Patrick Mahomes at the 103. Of course, this is an offense that struggled halfway through last season. They did pick it up near the end. And on top of this, missing out on Tyreek Hill should affect the overall efficiency of the Kansas City Chiefs offense. But you have such a large sample with Patrick Mahomes. It's so much harder to predict those young quarterbacks like a Justin Herbert to be able to sustain that elite level of play before you actually see it at the quarterback position. If y'all remember, I mean, Baker Mayfield, after his rookie season, was a first-round startup pick. Now, of course, I am not saying Justin Herbert's Baker Mayfield. I am not trying to even hint at that's what I'm saying. What I'm trying to illustrate is the fact that the dynasty community tends to be more confident in their ability to progress those quarterbacks into year 4, into year 5 of their NFL careers than they actually can. Reality, when you have a quarterback, 26, 27 years old, like Patrick Mahomes, 26, and we've seen the continued success since 2018, I would never understand. I'm kind of speechless here to see Justin Herbert go over both Mahomes and Allen. Okay, we have Taylor at the 104, Burrow at the 105. And honestly, with the downfall of DeAndre Hopkins, I'm fine if someone wants to take Burrow over Kyler. Up until this point, I have had Kyler ranked higher than Burrow based on the rushing upside that Kyler presents that you cannot find with Joe Burrow. But I think you will be fine if you want to go Burrow at the 105. Now, there's the other quarterback that I probably prefer here, someone that we have seen that sustained level of elite play for a very long time through their NFL career. We didn't see it last year, but with Deshaun Watson, that's probably the quarterback I'm taking in this range. But I can completely understand why someone would want to go Burrow, would want to go Kyler. You have Jamar Chase going at the 107. The first round's very boring. I'm sorry, there's not much for me to say here. I guess we got to see the fun selection of Justin Herbert at the 101. And what's going to be interesting is, our guy, someone that I loved last year in rookie drafts, someone that I am still very interested in. Trey Lance is plummeting right now with his redraft value and his dynasty value. Reports came out yesterday saying the 49ers coaching staff, hell, Lance goes to the 110. I was going to say reports are saying that they're not nearly as impressed with Lance as you'd want to believe. I can't take Lance at the 110. You know, I am the biggest Trey Lance fan on the planet. Last year, I loved him, saying, hell, while the entire dynasty community falls in love with Justin Fields, give me the quarterback that's going to Kyle Shanahan. Give me the quarterback that has possibly more rushing upside. Give me the quarterback that's playing behind a better offensive line. Give me a quarterback that has George Kittle, Deebo Samuel, and Brandon Ayuk. I'm all in on Lance. We built a reputation on it. I am not advocating to draft him over Lamar Jackson. I think that is a very, very, very bad selection. Let me be clear with that. If Trey Lance would have made it back to us at the 210, I would have been jumping up and down to take Trey Lance. I will say, I think there's a small chance that the reports coming out about Lance are just to try to get Jimmy Garoppolo moved off the roster. I think the 49ers possibly need leverage. Remember, you had Alex Smith get traded to open up Patrick Mahomes back in 2018. And the Kansas City Chiefs kind of had that leverage as well with Alex Smith coming off a fantastic season. And they did not invest nearly as much into Patrick Mahomes as the 49ers invested into Trey Lance. Remember, the 49ers took that 13th overall selection and 2 future first-round picks to go get Trey Lance, indicating that he is 100% their guy going forward. NFL teams know this. They look at the massive contract that Jimmy Garoppolo has, knowing the 49ers have to get that off their books, and they go, okay, well, why are we going to pay an arm and a leg for Jimmy Garoppolo? Why would I give you anything more than a 3rd-round pick? I think the 49ers are possibly trying to create some smoke to allow them to be able to move off of Jimmy G in that contract. Maybe I'm just rationalizing away. I would love to hear your opinion. I would love to hear it. I got a lot of Trey Lance. A lot of people who are part of the flock invested into Trey Lance. Not here above Lamar Jackson. Please don't do that. Please, please, please don't do that. But if he begins falling to the end of the 2nd round, based on the rushing upside and the situation he'd step into, I'm all in taking him there. You have Javonte Williams, also another faller, based on Melvin Gordon signing with the Denver Broncos. I honestly think I probably wouldn't take Javonte Williams here based on a couple other players that are available. I mean, if we're talking about the running back position, you know, there's a name that I like to see. There's a name that we will probably be going after, but let's see what ends up making it to us at the 210. Unlike Underdog, we were just going to have this list pulled up so we don't have to toggle the screens. Naveen says, where would you take Kyle Pitts in a 12-team startup? This is going to be a tight end premium 12-team startup, so you see him go at the 112. I personally would not take Kyle Pitts over Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson at the 201 here is incredible value. Now, keep in mind the team picking at the 112, they are going back-to-back, so it essentially doesn't matter to see Kyle Pitts at the 112 versus the 201. I do want to point out Justin Jefferson, unbelievable value here at the 201. Some people can make the argument that he is the wide receiver 1 in Dynasty. Our guy in Breece Hall goes off the board at the 208. I would have loved to get me some Breece Hall, but looks like that may not be a possibility. And there's really one name that I'm looking at making it here. Maybe ADKLR is trying to snipe us, but I'm going to keep quiet. I'm going to keep quiet for now. They go Lamb. Okay, yeah, CeeDee Lamb was clearly the player that I wanted. I mean, after Lamb, there's a significant drop-off with Deebo. Deebo was the wide receiver 3 last season on a points-per-game basis, but it's so hard to predict that level of usage going forward. A.J. Brown, in my opinion, you have to be dramatically moving him down your own rankings based on the trade over to Philadelphia. Austin Eckler, an aging running back. Tyreek Hill just got traded. Jalen Waddle, target competition with Tyreek Hill. Jalen Hurts. Love, you know what? Maybe we have to end up going QB here. We'll go Deebo. It's so ugly. It's so ugly. We just got done talking about the 49ers. I think if you're a Deebo Samuel owner, you maybe would prefer to have Jimmy G in San Francisco than you would Trey Lance. I think Trey Lance obviously going to be the much better fantasy quarterback based on the rushing upside. But Jimmy Garoppolo, I would be worried if Lance comes in and if Lance vultures the rushing touchdowns at the goal line. Remember, Deebo Samuel had more rushing touchdowns last year than receiving touchdowns. Deebo Samuel, it's so hard to project that usage for him going forward. CeeDee Lamb's in a completely different tier if you're looking at his age. CeeDee Lamb's only 23 years old. And on top of this, you have Amari Cooper going over to Cleveland. And with CeeDee Lamb playing in a more productive passing environment overall. Like, CeeDee Lamb's definitely the player you prefer. Deebo Samuel is kind of whatever here at the 210. I can't pretend like we're excited about this. Eckler goes to the 212. I personally wouldn't have been looking to take Eckler coming back to us in the third. I'm just going to be avoiding these veteran running backs where we can. You got Joe Mixon. So this team here is going win now. They stack Eckler, Mixon together, some 2017 class of running backs. Okay. So here, I think I don't want to say we're going to reach, but we're probably going to go with the player that I'm not a massive fan of yet again. I'll let you know my thought process when we get up on the clock in 2 picks. You know what? I'm not going to take that guy. I'm reaching. I don't care what this ADP says. Jalen Hurts goes at the 302. Okay, if Jalen Hurts is going, now we may see that these quarterbacks fly up the board just slightly. I was considering taking T. Higgins here. I personally prefer T. Higgins, a younger wide receiver than Jalen Waddle, more productive than Waddle this past season. Yes, he has target competition in Jamar Chase, but with Jalen Waddle, you have the added target competition in Tyreek Hill. I am more willing to stack that wide receiver with Joe Burrow than I would be with Tua Tagovailoa. Still, I think what we probably end up doing is we probably just end up going with a Russell Wilson here and not really taking a wide receiver. I think I could even make an argument to take T. Higgins over Deebo Samuel. I hate to go that far. If we were passing on Russell Wilson, though, at the 303, I think we would probably be regretting it later on because a lot of those quarterbacks like Malik Willis, they're simply not going to be draftable later on. I mean, you are not going to be able to see Malik Willis go at the end of the third, the beginning of the fourth round of Dynasty startups as he was previously. So maybe we just see quarterbacks slide up a little bit. You have T. Higgins going directly after us at the 304. Really like this start. Jonathan Taylor, CeeDee Lamb, and T. Higgins. As I said, Higgins would have been the wide receiver we would have taken there. Okay, so Cody says, I took Lance at the 209 the day before the reports. I probably could have gotten him in the fourth after that in my league. I've seen Trey Lance go in the fourth. I mean, based on just drafts that people send me, I've seen Trey Lance falling a considerable amount. That's why I'm saying, you know, I thought I was the world's #1 Trey Lance fan. But to take Lance here over Lamar Jackson, to take Lance over Justin Jefferson, to take Lance over Kyle Pitts, these are selections I think you just can't make. I think you have to drop Trey Lance. The earliest you can take him is 201 based on this draft board. Based on this draft board, yeah. I mean, at this point, I think you have to prefer, you easily always had to prefer Watson. Once Watson comes back, gets traded to Cleveland, you have to prefer Najee, you have to prefer Jamar, you have to prefer all these other quarterbacks. I think the absolute earliest you could take Trey Lance is at the 201. Devontae Adams at the 306. Fine seeing Devontae Adams go off the board. I mean, if you would have made it to us at the 410, then yeah, I would have been considering him. I personally don't love this Devontae Adams price point. However, I think I probably would instead go with the quarterback in this range, possibly go with someone like Matthew Stafford. Eric says, why Russell Wilson over Matthew Stafford? I personally really like Wilson. This is a quarterback that I think is finally going to get unlocked. If you're looking at the offensive environment he's going to, finally leaving the run-heavy Seattle Seahawks. Maybe I shouldn't be going Wilson here. If I pull up Keep Trade Cut to look at where these quarterbacks are going, with Keep Trade Cut, you have Russell Wilson at pick 24 in startups, and you have Matthew Stafford pick 42. Like, it's not just me that's preferring Russell Wilson. It's the entire community as well. Let me pull up Underdog ADP to see where these players are going just for this upcoming season. Trevor Lawrence goes at the 307. Now, that is a pick I can't get behind. I think if you are going to be going ahead and taking quarterback here, it is Matthew Stafford. I think you can't be taking Trevor Lawrence. If you're looking at the situation in Jacksonville, seems like a lot to overcome, if we're going to be completely honest. Okay, so let me pull up Underdog ADP, figure out where you have these quarterbacks going here. Okay, so you have Russell Wilson going as the quarterback 8, and you have Matthew Stafford going as the quarterback 11. Yeah, almost 2 rounds after Russell Wilson as well in redraft best ball leagues. And those are all real money drafts. I was looking at Best Ball Mania ADP. And of course, if you want to go get in real money fantasy football drafts, the #1 place to do so is on Underdog Fantasy. I'm sure you've seen us live streaming there a ton. You can find the link in the description of the video. I'll post the link in the live chat. And if you go sign up for Underdog, yes, we've had some confusion with this. If you sign up for Underdog Fantasy and you make a deposit with promo code FLOCK, a $10 deposit, you will get our 2022 Dynasty rankings, our 2022 Dynasty rookie rankings. You will get our 2022 Dynasty rookie draft guide. Underdog sends an automated email about an hour after you sign up with all of that. With a $10 deposit, promo code FLOCK, it will show up in your email address. And most importantly, you can go have some fun with your life. You can go get into some drafts with us on the live stream, get into some drafts in the public lobby. And on top of this, just have fun, which is the most important thing. But dear God, I'm sorry to get cut off here. Got to point out Tua Tagovailoa going at the 310. My man, Twill Cox. Maybe I am a Tua Tagovailoa hater, but I can't do it. I can't be taking Tua at the 310. I can't even entertain that thought process. Like to take Tua Tagovailoa over Drake London. Take him over Stephon Diggs. Personally, I can't do it. I'm going to be steering clear of. I don't want to say that Miami Dolphins offense, but it's so hard to find value in Miami right now. I understand they are most likely going to get better. But from the baseline where we started last season, the amount of improvement that you are going to have to project based on the addition of a wide receiver, while yes, one of the best wide receivers in the entire NFL in Tyreek Hill over to that offense, you are having to project so much improvement overall in Miami to have Jalen Waddle live up to expectations, to have Tyreek Hill live up to expectations, to have Tua Tagovailoa live up to expectations. Like the difference between us projecting Denver to take a significant step up is they're not getting one of the best wide receivers in the NFL added to their offense. They're getting one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL added to their offense, which will have a much larger impact on the efficiency of pretty much every single player in said offense. I can't get behind it. I really can't. Kenneth Walker going at the 401. I'm personally not a massive fan of Kenneth Walker here. I think instead I'm going to be continuously taking these rookie wide receivers, someone like Drake London at the 404. It's interesting to see where these other players are going to go. Rodgers finally goes off the board at the 405. Kittle at the 406. No, we wouldn't. Actually, I think we probably would have taken George Kittle if he made it to us at the end of the 4th here. Okay, so let's figure out who we are going with our next selection. And I will say, this sleeper ADP is horrendous. You cannot be using this sleeper ADP. Please look anywhere else. Look anywhere else for a good set of ADP. Go to Keep Trade Cut. Go to Underdog Fantasy. I mean, really whatever you prefer. Just don't use the sleeper ADP when you're drafting. And I don't want to do it. Save me. Save me for myself here. ADKLR. Save me. You know what I don't want to do? Okay, they just logged off. No, they went, never mind. They just went Justin Fields. Okay, they saved me. I thought we were having to take Justin Fields here. You know, I'm not the biggest fan of Justin Fields in the world, but I thought we were going to have to do it. And now I think we probably go back to the wide receiver position and probably take someone that's way down in ADP. Unless we want tight end. The thing is, I love the value of Hawkinson here. The issue is there are so many, and I repeat, so many other tight ends that I like later on. Guys like Gronk, Cole Kmet, Irv Smith Jr. Like that range of the draft is just where I've consistently been hitting those tight ends. So instead, I'm going to take who I perceive to be an elite level wide receiver prospect. We are going to be going with Garrett Wilson here at the 410. I think you can make an argument for Garrett Wilson to be going later than this. But hear me out. This is why we're going Garrett Wilson. If you're looking at the tier wide receivers we are about to get the drop off with, Treylon Burks goes at the 411. This is what I was getting at. So you had Treylon Burks, DJ Moore, Terry McLaurin, Chris Godwin as the wide receivers available, compared to if you look at the running back position, Derrick Henry, Antonio Gibson, Alvin Kamara, Saquon Barkley, Cam Akers, J.K. Dobbins, Nick Chubb, Travis Etienne. Just this running back position's loaded up top heavy. So I've pretty much guaranteed ourselves the ability to take Garrett Wilson here and still get one of these running backs and probably our choice between the running backs before DJ Moore goes. I think we played that perfectly. Well, yeah, maybe you prefer some of these running backs in a vacuum. You have to look at the rest of the draft board. I think we're probably going to end up going with a younger RB here, especially when we go Garrett Wilson in the 4th. We're going to go J.K. Dobbins. We're going Dobbins at the 503. This is a team that, yes, had some rumors around Melvin Gordon at the beginning of the offseason, but hell, that's gone. You have J.K. Dobbins. He dodges the NFL draft. He dodges NFL free agency as well. And this is a running back that tore that ACL before the season started. If you look at the 9-month timetable, this is a running back that should be back by training camp. Have no worries whatsoever, running in a very efficient offense next to Lamar Jackson. I'll be fine with them at the 503. Devontae Smith at the 505. I can't do it. There are other running backs on the board that I'm going to prefer over Smith. I'd even possibly prefer someone like Chris Godwin over Smith with the addition of A.J. Brown. I think it's very hard to see Jalen Hurts have enough passing volume there to make a Devontae Smith selection at the 505 worth it. But let me know what y'all think of our selections there at the turn. I'm actually really happy with how that worked out because I'm assuming we're going to get a running back run happen before our next pick in the 6th. And yeah, we needed to go with a wide receiver here, so I didn't have to be drafting Smith at the 505. That would have been disgusting. Eric says, oh God, I take back my Saquon Barkley comment. Okay, let me know. Do y'all think I should have gone Saquon Barkley over J.K. Dobbins here? The running backs that I were considering, were guys like J.K. Dobbins, Travis Etienne, and Saquon Barkley. Cody says, Mason, this may be dumb. I'm starting to have a genuine concern of more and more 4-year college players. Bijan Robinson getting 2 Lambos from NIL. Looks like these college kids making it better in college. I think it will be something we have to consider going forward. I think we can't necessarily just throw out the trend that we have of those players coming out after 3 years at the wide receiver position having a better hit rate based on speculation. But if we see that continued trend where top prospects are going back to school for all 4 years and we see them hitting at the NFL level, I think we can definitely reevaluate that. But it's too early to say. Okay. Derrick Henry at the 507. So yeah, that running back run is happening here. I wonder if, obviously, Kay Schultz, it's hard to predict this when you're sitting here at the 408. But if they're at the 408 and they're looking at Dalvin Cook on the board with all these other running backs, I wonder if they regret this pick and almost wish they could go back and grab one of these receivers or grab Justin Fields. Because, I think almost everybody would agree you'd rather have the combination of Garrett Wilson, say Alvin Kamara, or Garrett Wilson and Derrick Henry compared to Dalvin Cook and Devontae Smith. Jerry Jeudy goes to the 509. It would have been nice for us to get Jerry Jeudy making it back to us in the 6th, but probably not going to happen. Okay, so Andrew says he would prefer Saquon over Dobbins. Hassan says Dobbins over Saquon all day as well. Let me pull up where these players are going on Keep Trade Cut. Okay, so Keep Trade Cut, of course, it has its strengths in that it is centered around Dynasty and is built around the community. The weaknesses are it's not really anything concrete. It's just all hypothetical. There are no rosters attached to any of these values, and there are no buy-ins to whatever people are saying here. So it's just, you're living in La La world. But they have Saquon Barkley currently pick 59, and they have J.K. Dobbins currently at 42. Okay, so Keep Trade Cut agrees with us on Dobbins over Barkley. Let me head over to Underdog Fantasy. Now, Underdog Fantasy, of course, this is going to be just for this upcoming season and redraft. The strengths of it, though, is you're going to have all real money buy-in leagues, and at the same time, everybody has to be 18. So J.K. Dobbins here going pick 20, and Saquon Barkley going, running back 20, and Saquon Barkley is going running back 14, but Barkley is going about 20 picks ahead of Dobbins in redraft. But you would assume that Saquon Barkley would be going ahead of J.K. Dobbins in redraft and possibly a little bit lowered in Dynasty, considering that Saquon Barkley is older. But let me move this down so we can see the entire draft board. Zach Wilson goes to the 601. You have Kirk Cousins at the 602. I could have potentially gone in the direction of Zach Wilson. I mean, if you were looking at Wilson making it back to us at the end of the sixth. Now, I'm not a big Zach Wilson fan, even though, yes, the Jets had a fantastic NFL draft. But if we were going to get Zach Wilson in the end of the sixth when we took Garrett Wilson earlier, I think that'd be fantastic. So yeah, TJ Hawkinson finally off the board at the 604. Love the Hawkinson selection. This is a tight end that I ranked as tight end 3 at the beginning of this offseason. If you go pull up my Dynasty rankings, you will see I have TJ Hawkinson ahead of Kittle. I have TJ Hawkinson ahead of Travis Kelce. I know it's crazy. Kelce going to be 33 this upcoming season with George Kittle. While I love me some Trey Lance, and I have Trey Lance everywhere, the reason I love Lance is not because I think it's going to be some great passing offense in San Francisco. I think that he is going to have access to an elite rushing ceiling and he can be efficient throwing the ball, but I'm unsure if he's going to be able to support Debo, support Kittle, and support Ayuk. So I am bumping Kittle down just slightly. Okay, Eric says, gosh, Waller's going to be such good value. Yeah, Darren Waller, according to ADP, currently the best value on the board. My issue with Darren Waller, and I've spoken on this previously, is the addition of Davante Adams in that offense. I mean, if we go through and look at Davante Adams and Green Bay taking 30% of the team's target share. I mean, last year was 32%. Davante Adams took 32% of this team's target share on a per game basis last season. He's going over to Las Vegas. Now, I'm not projecting Davante Adams to have 32% of his team's targets in Las Vegas because you have better target competition. You have Hunter Renfrow and Darren Waller in Las Vegas compared to Robert Tonyan and Marcus Valdes-Scantling in Green Bay. But if we still assume he'll be elite with his target share and we assume that instead of being at 32%, he maybe comes down to 28%, it's hard to project Darren Waller as you could last year. Like last year, Darren Waller was the unquestioned wide receiver 1 in this offense, not wide receiver, but number 1 receiving option in this offense. And it's just harder to get there, especially when we know Davante Adams is going to be that red zone weapon. We know he's going to have a significantly high touchdown rate as well. Okay, so now you have Mike Evans at the 607. Are we going to end up? I think so. I don't want to say anything just yet. Okay, so we have 2 quarterbacks, we have 2 receivers, and we have a running back. I'm not too concerned. Keep in mind, this is Dynasty. So if this was one of those underdog drafts, yes, we would be really concerned with our roster construction. We'd be trying to make all the positions fit. But here it's Dynasty, so we're mainly drafting based off of trade value instead. We're drafting based off of the value we think we can get for these players through the first few years of their career. Chris Olave goes to the 608. Olave would have been probably a player I would have taken. Oh, my God. Do we have to go? Oh, my God. Y'all know I do not like Terry McLaurin. Am I not adjusting enough to Jahan Dotson getting there? You know what? I can't take McLaurin. And there are a couple other wide receivers on the board that are all kind of the same. While I am concerned about Darren Waller in the addition of Davante Adams into this offense, like we said at the beginning, it's a tight end premium format. He's making it to us to the 610, so that concern is going to be baked into the price. I think these wide receivers like Jameson Williams, Keenan Allen, Terry McLaurin, there's a chance one of them makes it back. There's a 0% chance Darren Waller makes it back. So we're going to go Waller at the 610. We'll see if they make us draft Terry McLaurin at the 703, but I'd imagine McLaurin's off the board and we don't have to go through and make that gross pick. Okay. So yeah, Waller at the 610. I'm not a big fan, but if it's going to be a 1.5 points per reception for the tight end position I'm in, trust me, I would have been jumping up and down with joy to get this value on Darren Waller before the Davante Adams trade. I mean, if you look at Darren Waller, I think at the beginning of the offseason, his fall in value wasn't really justified. This was still a tight end closing in on 8 targets a game last season. Now the touchdown rate went down to an extreme where we can assume it was going to bounce back this upcoming season, especially with Derek Carr at quarterback. So I thought that we would be able to buy low on Darren Waller this offseason. Just ended up not working out that way. Okay, so Shinbin is online. They go Keenan Allen at the 611. Of course, on Underdog, Keenan Allen's going to be going higher than some of these other wide receivers because it's going to be a redraft and not Dynasty. But let's check out Underdog, and let's also check out Keep Trade Cut. Okay, so on Underdog, Keenan Allen's going as the wide receiver 12. On Keep Trade Cut, Keenan Allen's going as the wide receiver 33. Oh my. I have Russell Wilson. I have Wilson on this team. But it would never cross my mind to take Cortland Sutton here. That would never be a thought of mine. And according to Keep Trade Cut, Cortland Sutton's a wide receiver you want over Keenan Allen. You want Cortland Sutton over Josh Jacobs. This is what I'm talking about and saying, I kind of want to be looking at these real money leagues while Keep Trade Cut. I love the thought process behind it. It's very hard for me to take something seriously. It's telling me to take Cortland Sutton over Josh Jacobs in Dynasty, or to take Cortland Sutton over Keenan Allen, or take Cortland Sutton over Aaron Jones in Dynasty. Like, I literally have Russell Wilson on this roster. If there was ever going to be a team that I was taking Cortland Sutton, it would be here at the 703. But it would just never cross my mind. Like, give me Jameson Williams. Give me Sky Moore. Terry McLaurin goes. Interesting. So with Josh Jacobs, they do add in Zamir White on day 3. Zamir White really is absolutely nothing. I guess we already take Darren Waller, so we're already kind of making a bet on this Las Vegas Raiders offense. This is a running back that actually saw his career high with his receiving game usage last season. Maybe you want to make the argument that they had no Henry Ruggs. They had no Bryan Edwards. I mean, this team had nobody at receiver. That's why Hunter Renfrow was just getting funneled these targets. Keep in mind, Darren Waller missed a decent amount of time last year. So maybe that's why you had the bump up with the receiving game usage for Josh Jacobs. I understand that he is falling down just slightly. This is still an incredibly young running back. He's actually younger. Maybe he's, let me double check this before I say anything. I know Najee Harris just turned 24. Josh Jacobs is still 24. I believe Najee Harris is either younger than Josh Jacobs or like 1 month older. They are the exact same age, essentially. Okay, so Najee Harris turned 24 March 9th. Josh Jacobs turned 24 February 11th. Okay, so Josh Jacobs is exactly 1 year older. Now, of course, we have to also look at the rookie contract. He was drafted in 2019, but they do have the 5th year option. Bateman goes at the 705. Let me know what y'all are thinking with Bateman. Do you think Bateman should be going over Jameson Williams? Do you think we should have gone with Rashad Bateman over Josh Jacobs? Because obviously Bateman, this is a wide receiver that is skyrocketing up as well. And I will be the first person to admit, once we had Hollywood Brown traded, like y'all know, during the NFL draft, the second a player was picked or the second we had a trade happen, I went live right away, legitimately right away. And I gave you my raw initial reaction. And my initial reaction was based on the Hollywood Brown trade that Rashad Bateman would rise to a price where he would be a sell high, because we were saying, okay, well, with Hollywood Brown, this is a wide receiver that wins with efficiency. He doesn't necessarily need a ton of targets in Baltimore. He's never been targeted at a heavy rate. And then I dove into the numbers a little bit to go through and make a sell high wide receiver video that should come out tomorrow. And I was like, never mind. I guess I was just wrong, because Hollywood Brown actually had 25% of his team's target share over the past 2 seasons in Baltimore. So I need to apologize to everyone. What I said previously about Bateman being a sell based on Hollywood Brown being traded with my initial reaction, that may not be the case. I mean, at the 705, I don't mind this pick whatsoever. Like, if we go over and if we check this out, like, so Rashad Bateman on Underdog, keep in mind, this is not Dynasty. This is just for this year. He's going ahead of Drake London, Treylon Burks, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, Sky Moore, James Owens. He's going ahead of all those wide receivers. Oh, the gap between him and Elijah Moore is unjustified. Elijah Moore is the wide receiver 25, Underdog. Bateman's 35. Interesting. Ryan Tannehill goes to the 7-11. I think Tannehill could be an intriguing buy low based on where you get him. I'm JD. Let's see where they decide to go. A very balanced team so far. They still need a second quarterback. They go Darnell Mooney at the 7-12. Brandon Ayuk. I like both those picks. It's interesting to see the team that went Trey Lance at the 110 and not take Ayuk over Amon-Ra St. Brown. And I will say, you know, even though we just crapped on Cortland Sutton, if Cortland Sutton makes it to us at the 8-10 in a league where we drafted Russell Wilson, I'll have to take Cortland Sutton. I'll just have to. Jayan says, where would you take the 2023 101 if it were in this? The issue is if you're going through and you are taking the 2023 101, I know a lot of people want to say, oh, I'm trading for the first round pick next year. So many times people say that. It's hard to know it's actually going to be the first overall selection next year. It's so hard to predict that out. But if we were to say the 101 next year's class was in here, probably goes at the around the 202, 203 range, early second. Obviously, you're not taking the 101 next year's class, even though it does look to be a very good class. You're not taking over Jefferson, Pitts, Lamar. So I'd say the earliest, if you wanted to take it, the earliest you could do is 202. Okay, so now James Conner at the 803. Interesting to see where Leonard Fournette goes in this draft. Aaron Jones continuing to fall. Okay, so if we, thank God we get some running backs going off the board. I was going to say, if we end up getting like Aaron Jones making it to us at the end of the 8th, our selection of Josh Jacobs is going to look real bad, especially when we passed on him. We passed over wide receivers like Bateman, like Hollywood Brown, like Jameson Williams to grab him. Juju Smith-Schuster goes to the 805. Okay, so let's kind of prepare, see where we're going, because this is where sleeper ADP gets real messed up. This is where you have to be going through looking at the list. Like Sutton is down here, like I said. I'm going to add Sutton to the queue. I don't want to take Sutton that badly, but we have Russell Wilson. Okay, interesting. Let's see how far these running backs fall. In my opinion, Aaron Jones, the best player on the board right now. And I'm saying that as someone that would not take Aaron Jones the A10 if he fell to him. Double V coming out says, thoughts on Gabriel Davis? I'm kind of worried about my take with Gabriel Davis because y'all know I've been of the opinion that Gabriel Davis is actually a player being slightly overvalued in dynasty drafts. Like if we go over to keep trade cut, let me pull up where Gabriel Davis currently is going. Gabriel Davis is the wide receiver 43. And this is why I'm worried, right? Because I'm looking at Gabriel Davis going, okay, I understand the blow-up game. Yes, Gabriel Davis was fantastic in a game that everybody watched. Probably the best football game of the entire season last year against the Kansas City Chiefs. Gabriel Davis in his second season went out there and he set records. I've been slightly concerned on Gabriel Davis, however, just based on the fact that he wasn't able to overcome 33-year-old Cole Beasley. He wasn't able to overcome 34-year-old Emmanuel Sanders last season on the depth chart. So I'm looking at that going, how talented can this player actually be if he was blocked behind those options? So I'm worried about that. Let me figure out who we're going to be selecting here. Yeah, we're going to go Cortland Sutton, as I've already said. So I was initially very concerned with Gabriel Davis and his dynasty value based on that thought process. And I was saying maybe people are just going to be overvaluing him based on what they had in the actual NFL playoffs. But what is concerning is we look at Gabriel Davis, a player going into year 3. Gabriel Davis is only 23 years old. And y'all know I'm going to value that underdog ADP. I'm going to value the real money leagues more than I'm going to value what we have on Keep Trade Cut because it's just make believe. It's just pretend. But Gabriel Davis there is being valued as the wide receiver 43 in Dynasty. Whereas if we look at the 23-year-old wide receiver in a real money best ball leagues, he's the wide receiver 26. That tells us that sharp drafters, that tells us that people who know what they are doing are valuing Gabriel Davis significantly higher than a lot of the community. Like right now, say on Underdog Fantasy, Gabriel Davis is going ahead of DeAndre Hopkins, going ahead of Juju Smith-Schuster, going ahead of Allen Robinson in redraft leagues. And he's younger than all those players. And you're getting him after them in Dynasty. So it is interesting. Let's see where Shinbin goes at the 902. There's one player that I really want to make it back to us. Please, 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 Shinbin. Do not mess this up for me. Do not mess this up for us. They need a running back. Okay. There you go, James Cook. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I think if we had to come up with a strategy for this time of the year, if we had to come up with one, your current post-NFL draft dynasty startup strategy is draft the hell out of these rookie wide receivers. This rookie class is bad. I get it. I agree with you. That's why a lot of these running backs Kenneth Walker falling to the 401. James Cook, the running back 3 in the class. James Cook, the running back 3, I believe is the running back 3. Am I mistaken? He was the running back 3 in this draft, correct? Yeah. He falls to the 9th. I am not saying you need to be going out there and drafting all rookies. I agree. James Cook should be falling to the 9th. The 3rd running back in this class should be falling to the 9th round of Dynasty Startup drafts, probably a little bit later because I easily prefer Jahan Dotson. But these rookie wide receivers, with where you are getting this value, soak them up. These guys are great prospects. I know it's a bad class. Like you shouldn't see the second quarterback in this rookie draft class probably get drafted until, I wouldn't even consider someone like Malik Willis in this range. I wouldn't consider Desmond Ridder. I understand wanting to just cross off all rookies, but I think maybe the stink of the overall class is overshadowing how good these rookie wide receivers will be. Like getting Garrett Wilson at the 410, getting Drake London even at the 404, getting Treylon Burks at the 411, getting Jahan Dotson at the 903. I really like these price points. Jacob says, I was offered Kenny Pickett, a 2023 first, and a 2024 second for Zach Wilson. Oh my God. My man, please. I never want to tell anybody to turn off this live stream. Of course, I appreciate everybody here hanging out with me. But if you were offered Kenny Pickett and a future first for Zach Wilson, shut this stream down ASAP and go make that trade. What are you waiting? Go get that right now before they realize they're making a mistake. Okay, so Davis Mills goes to the 907. Not a bad pick whatsoever with Davis Mills if you think that he can hold on to the job long-term with the Houston Texans. And this is why. This is the perfect example. We've talked about this in videos before. This is why if you were drafting Desmond Ridder, if you were drafting Sam Howell, if you were drafting Matt Corral, if you were drafting these quarterbacks that went in round 3 or day 3 of the NFL draft, if you're taking them at the end of the first round, the beginning of the second round of your rookie drafts right now, you are making a mistake because Davis Mills hit to the furthest extreme his rookie year. He was better than Lawrence. He was better than Justin Fields. He was better than Zach Wilson. And Davis Mills is currently being valued as a mid-9th round selection. Is that what we have in store if you hit on Desmond Ridder? If Desmond Ridder overcomes all odds and he is projected to be the starter for the Atlanta Falcons next year, they don't decide to go out there and sign a different quarterback in free agency, they don't draft a different quarterback in the NFL draft, you're then all of a sudden going to have a player that's going behind Dawson Knox in startups? That's why you shouldn't be taking those quarterbacks in rookie drafts this year. Like, just take a higher upside swing on someone like Jahan Dotson. Okay, Desmond Ridder goes in the 9th. Yeah, this is... I hope my point is understood when I say this. I just feel like this pick has such a limited ceiling. Like, if Desmond Ridder... I feel like almost his best case scenarios have Davis Mills in his rookie season. So why are we taking him here? Chase Claypool goes to the 1001. Hugh coming out says, flipped Isaiah Spiller to the Austin Eckler owner for a 2023 first. What is up with people thinking they need to handcuff their running backs and overpay to do so as well? Dear God. Tom Brady goes to the 1002. Fantastic, 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 fantastic selection of Tom Brady. I think that almost goes without being said, though. I don't want to waste anybody's time talking about that. Cole Kmet at the 1004. You know, I love me some Cole Kmet. We did get Darren Waller here, so it is what it is. Michael Carter falling. That's what you like to see. 6-letter coming out says, would you trade Hawkinson for a future first plus a player already of Kyle Pitts in a non-tight end premium format? If it was super flex, yeah, I would trade TJ Hawkinson for like a 2023 first and Chase Claypool, Kadarius Toney, Gabriel Davis, any of the wide receivers in this range. But keep in mind, if you're trading for those one quarterback, non-tight end premium first-round picks, those first-round picks inherently are going to be worth a little bit less because the player pool that you're going to be looking at will be smaller. Okay, Cole Kmet at the 1004. I'm happy to see Michael Carter falling, to say the least. Like, this is what I'm saying. I think if you're looking at Tony Pollard, Michael Carter, they're in the same range at this point. Please don't be thinking Michael Carter is some quarterback that you need to be taking way higher than Tony Pollard when we've seen Tony Pollard's going to have a role in his offense, very comparable to what I would expect Michael Carter to have this upcoming season. Yet the difference is if Breece Hall goes down, Michael Carter is what, a low-end running back 2 in fantasy? Whereas Tony Pollard could potentially be a running back 1 if Ezekiel Elliott were to go down. Winston at the 10:07, David Bell at the 10:08. I think we have an easy selection. This is another thing that I found myself doing in every single draft this offseason. Once we get to this range where you just pivot across and you look at all the positions and you go, you know what? I feel like I'm not really missing out on much. Like, who are we really passing on here? We're passing on Wan'Dale Robinson. This is where you can pick up these starting quarterbacks in Superflex leagues for essentially free. This is why I've found myself passing on the guys like Zach Wilson, Kirk Cousins, Ryan Tannehill more and more. And once you get down to this tier with players like Daniel Jones, Carson Wentz, Jared Goff, I feel like getting Daniel Jones at the end of the 10th, are we not taking him at his floor? Realistically, this is a quarterback that we've seen be able to get to 30, 40 rushing yards per game. He has the rushing upside plus a new coaching staff coming in, presumably a much better coaching staff coming out of Buffalo. On top of this, they're surrounding him with weapons. So let me add on to our strategy here. Draft the hell out of rookie wide receivers in startup drafts based on these current price points. And also, do not draft a quarterback in the dead zone. Do not reach on taking someone like Zach Wilson, Kirk Cousins. Don't reach on taking Tua Tagovailoa at the 310 ahead of Stephon Diggs. Instead, take Daniel Jones over Hunter Renfrow. Kareem Hunt goes at the 10-11. But I've also made the mistake in that I love the value of these quarterbacks so much, like getting Daniel Jones in the 10th, getting Carson Wentz in the 11th or the 12th. I end up drafting 4 or 5 of these guys on my team. Okay, so Kareem Hunt at the 10-11. Bizarre Curdy says, are they surrounding him with weapons or giving his replacement all the weapons? That's a good question, but are we sure that Daniel Jones is more likely to get replaced next year than the players he's going around? Are we sure that Daniel Jones is more likely to get replaced in 2023 than Damian Harris, than Kareem Hunt? Talking about long-term job security when we get to this point of the draft is almost useless because none of these players have long-term job security. If you can look me in the eyes and you can tell me, Mason, you bum, why are you drafting Daniel Jones here? Don't you know he's going to be replaced next year? Which we don't know that. But if you're going to tell me that and then go and draft Kareem Hunt and tell me that Kareem Hunt does have that job security, that's where I'm going to find issue. Okay, so Michael Carter continuing to fall. Singletary, Ramondre Stevenson. I think we probably make a pick that most people are not going to like here. Matt Ryan goes to the 11:01. I do want to call out how when we first made that video saying Hunter Renfrow was dead after the Devontae Adams trade, Hunter Renfrow was going in the middle of startups and people called me an idiot. Like, oh, how the mighty have fallen. How the mighty have fallen. I don't even know if I could take Renfrow here, if we're going to be honest. I think... Like, I hate to do this. I think we're going to go quarterback again. We're going to go Carson Wentz to the 11:03. Obviously, we have 4 quarterbacks in this team. Obviously, the plan would be to go through and trade one of these guys halfway through the season, which I'm not saying, it's as easy as a starting quarterback in Superflex is worth a first-round pick. But, like, if you ask me, Mason, who's more likely to start this upcoming year, Carson Wentz or Matt Corral? My answer is Carson Wentz. Who's more likely to start in 2023, Carson Wentz or Matt Corral? My answer is Carson Wentz. We can repeat that all the way down the line. I just think taking one of these skill positional players here, taking a Hunter Renfrow, it's marginal. Like, I feel like we're not really passing on any upside, if that makes sense. The players I were considering theirs, I would have been fine taking Michael Carter. I would have been fine taking Tyler Lockett. I would have been fine taking Hunter Renfrow. Y'all know I'm not a big Renfrow fan, But I was calling Hunter Renfrow dead in Dynasty when he was going in like the 6th, 7th round of startups. If you're taking Hunter Renfrow past this tier, I'm fine with that. I'm 100% fine with that. Ben says, I got Jonathan Taylor. I traded away Zeke and the 201 and Deontay Johnson. I'm sorry, and Dearness Johnson. God dang, how are y'all making these? What leagues are y'all playing in? I need to get in the leagues y'all are playing in. That is ridiculous. Jalen Tolbert goes to the 1107. I honestly probably would prefer Hunter Renfrow. I probably would prefer Tyler Lockett. I definitely would prefer both those wide receivers over Jalen Tolbert. I 100% would prefer them. Christian Kirk goes to the 1108. God, why is Christian Kirk's ADP so damn low? Like, looking at this, I also prefer Kirk over Tolbert. I prefer Kirk over Adam Thielen. I prefer him over Alec Pierce. Trubisky goes to the 1110. Lockett at the 1111. I like the Tyler Lockett value. I mean, with Lockett, obviously, he's in a very bad situation, but you could always hope that Lockett is traded. I mean, that's a real possibility, especially if the Seattle Seahawks have no aspirations to contend this upcoming season. Michael Carter goes the 1112. Completely fine with that Michael Carter value. Yes, I've been talking about just going through and selling him high. I'm not going to be selling him if this is the value you're getting. I think in the majority of leagues, people are going to try to tell you that Michael Carter is worth significantly more than this. Brian says, I traded Carson Wentz, Melvin Gordon, and Russell Gage for DeAndre Hopkins before his suspension. That's still not a bad trade. Obviously, you like it a lot less after the suspension, but it's still not a bad trade. Renfrow at the 1201. Noah Fant at the 1202. You know what? We had Wilson. Oh, my God. I'm so dumb. I was going to say, oh, we have a Russell Wilson. We should have drafted a Tyler Lockett. No. Gallup at the 1203, Rachaad White at the 1204. Interesting to see that Jalen Tolbert goes over Michael Gallup here. I personally would prefer Gallup. I actually really do like that value of Michael Gallup at the 1203. I mean, if you remember, Michael Gallup in 2019 actually out-targeted and had more receiving yards on a per-game basis than Amari Cooper before you had CeeDee Lamb getting drafted there. Like, Gallup has talent. Okay, Rachaad White goes to the 1204. Good Rachaad White selection. Six Letters says, should I go Drew Lock or Trubisky when I have Pickett? Interesting question. I think the common answer is going to be to go with Trubisky, and I actually probably would agree with that based on, speaking of just like raw upside here. There simply is no upside with Locke from what we've seen. Because even if Locke is an average NFL quarterback, if he somehow turns from being one of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL to being an average NFL quarterback, you still cannot start him in fantasy. He is still unstartable in fantasy based on his rushing production. Whereas if Trubisky were to somehow turn into an average NFL quarterback and then bounces job to job, you could have some spot starts with Mitch Trubisky based on the fact that he can get up to 25, 30 rushing yards per game. Okay. Calvin Ridley, Robert Woods. Okay, let's try to figure out where we are going to be going. I think. Okay, there are a couple players that I actually really like on the board. Marcus Mariota goes to the 1207. Yeah, there are a lot of names that I like here. So Mike Gesicki, according to Keep Trade Cuts, at pick 132, if we're comparing him to some other players in that range. Rondale Moore is right ahead of him. He's actually before Lockett. He's before Cole Kmet. He's before Rachaad White, before Noah Fant. James Robinson goes to the 12-8. Yeah, James Robinson's a lot lower. So according to Sleeper, according to Keep Trade Cut, Mike Gesicki is the best value available. Let me see where Gesicki's being drafted on Underdog. Gesicki's being drafted as the tight end 12 after Freiermuth, Zach Ertz. Oh, why is Zach Ertz being drafted there on Underdog? I guess maybe the Hopkins suspension. I'm fine with Gesicki going off the board, though. You know what? We're not going to go with one of the rookie wide receivers. I like both rookie receivers, but based on the DeAndre Hopkins suspension, I think that we actually do have the door opening for Rondale Moore to potentially find his way back to, I don't want to say breaking out this upcoming season, but flashing. We're going to take Rondale Moore here at the 12-10. Like, if you ask me, like, do you want Rondale Moore or Alec Pierce? I'm probably taking Rondale Moore over Alec Pierce. Especially, I mean, this is a wide receiver in a fantastic, fantastic offense. Okay, so let's see what falls to us. Come back around. And I will show the draft board after this pick. I'll show the draft board for everybody who's just now coming into the live stream. And if you're just now coming into the stream, please make sure you go down there, drop a like on the live stream. We passed 100 likes a while ago on the stream. So thank you so much for everybody who's already gone down there and dropped the like. I do appreciate it. Okay, so we have Isaiah Spiller at the 12-12. We're taking Wan'Dale if he falls to us. Cordell Patterson at the 13-01. How many running backs do we have? We have 2 running backs. I don't really give a crap, if we're going to be honest. Okay, so please spam the chat right now. Let me know what y'all think. You only have to send one message, but I want everybody sending a message. Where does Baker Mayfield start the 2022 season? On what roster? I can't take him here, obviously. That goes without being said. But I am very interested to hear your thoughts. And we are going to get a player that I love at the tight end position. Yes, we have Darren Waller, but we're getting Irv Smith Jr., a tight end that was being drafted before this last offseason when you had Tyler Conklin on the roster. When at the same time, you had Adam Thielen a year younger. Like, I think the situation for Irv Smith Jr. is probably better this upcoming season. This is a player that had the torn meniscus before the season even started. And remember, there were some reports saying he was going to be able to make it back by the end of the year, which clearly didn't happen, but very similar to Dobbins, who we took earlier in this draft. I have no concerns about his long-term viability in this offense. Okay, so people are saying Baker goes Carolina, Seattle. Mark says on the bench. Jerome says Browns, J-Buck Browns, Elijah Panthers, Robert Seattle, Tracked Up Browns, Seahawks. Okay, so it looks like there are 3 main teams people are projecting. Carolina, Cleveland, Seattle. Carolina, Cleveland, Seattle. Obviously, if you are a Baker Mayfield owner, I think you have to be hoping for Seattle. Brian Robinson at the 13-05. I like the Robinson selection. One thing that's intriguing is the fact that the Washington coaching staff may just be out on Antonio Gibson. He did lead the NFL in fumbles last year. Now, you know, personally, I love me some Antonio Gibson, but if the coaching staff doesn't, we can't just ignore them. Okay, so Zach Ertz at the 13-06. Okay, Wiggum says we should be going with Trey McBride here. I agree. I think McBride is an intriguing value. Personally, I just love me some Irv Smith Jr. And also, if you go through and you look at our Dynasty research book, you're going to find that going out of your way, taking those rookie tight ends 9 times out of 10, there's no reason to. Like, you can go ahead and you can, like, the perfect example is Irv Smith Jr. Irv Smith Jr. was going around here his rookie season. Before his rookie season, he had a decent rookie year considering his age. He had a good second year considering his age in the context. Year 3 is hurt. Year 4, you're getting him at the same exact price tag, even though we actually got to see some flashes from Irv Smith Jr. Mark says, is Stevenson a good pick here? Yeah, I'd be fine with Ramondre Stevenson in this range. I'd be fine with Devin Singletary. I think both those running backs at the very top. I think all 3 of these players at the top are fine picks. Also really like Alexander Mattison. Of course, that almost goes without being said. Like, I would prefer Alexander Mattison probably over a lot of these other running backs that went before him. Ronald Jones goes to the 13-10. I like the Ronald Jones pick as well. I feel like over the last 3 rounds, we've kind of been looking at all the same players. Connor on the clock. Antler says, how do I find a group to do a Dynasty League? If y'all don't know, we actually have a locals community. So it's essentially like Patreon, but it's more community derived. Like it's everybody else makes posts and I reply to all the posts. And of course I make my own, but there you don't even have to pay. A lot of stuff is behind the paywall, but if you want to just hang out, if you want to look at all the posts, I don't think you can comment on them without joining and paying. But if you want to just get into the group, people will post leagues there that you can get into for free. I mean, I'm assuming people are posting leagues that have a buy-in, but I'm saying like you don't have to pay a monthly amount to join our group or anything. You can join the group for free. I'll send the link out in the live chat right now if anybody's interested. It's also in the description of the video. It's called flock.locals.com. Okay, Alexander Madison goes at the 1402. Okay. You know what? I am very sorry. It's past 1:30. Someone's down there at the bottom of my apartment complex. I am probably going to have to go let them in. I am probably going to have to shut this live stream down. I will show everybody the draft board real quick. Of course, thank you so much for being a part of the flock, supporting the channel. I'm sorry we're not going to get through the last round and a half here. This went a little bit slower than I expected. I truly do appreciate all y'all. Thank you again. Of course, I hope you have a great day, and I hope we get to see